Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
We're going to spin the intro times 3 times, people, and then we're getting into it. Let me know your thoughts and everything.
You always use that active and defending. I think it's like.
One more.
You always use that active and defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. Thank you very much, Ian. Right, I could take it from here. People deluded, I'm back again. Appreciative to all of you lot actually on YouTube, because temporarily my Twitch account is suspended, people. It's crazy. Free up my Twitch account. We're going to get it back, people. But yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Appreciative to all of you lot tuned in. Please let me know your thoughts. It's never a dull day where us Arsenal fans are concerned. And I must admit, international break, I thought it'd be a decent period, but you know, Aaron Ramsdale's dad, whatever have you, is giving some comments, and everyone's, you know, obviously when you come out and speak, it's going to be interpreted in 20 million different ways across 20 million different countries and languages and things like that. It's quite crazy, and I'm going to offer my thoughts, but I've dropped a video on this already. Some of you that follow me on social media, Twitter, you see I've offered extensive periods of speaking about this, and I'm kind of exhausted. So I want to entertain you lot's thoughts. Me personally, I'm bored. You know, if I'm honest, my heart bleeds for Ramsdale. I think you deserve to play more games. You deserve to play Champions League and stuff, but I don't care. You know, the individual comes behind the collective. And for what it's worth, I don't think Ramsdale is negative. I don't think he's, you know, obviously going to be upset. There's going to be an element of woe is me and all of that sort of stuff. But I don't think, you know, away from that, it's affecting him. He's a bubbly person. I think he's just getting on with business. Arguably, yes, you want to play football. You might feel hard done by because you signed a new contract and you as a regular. But difficult decisions happen, you know. I want players to be unhappy. You know, obviously it's a bit different because he's a goalie, but should Trossard's only really getting starts now? Should he cry? Should Eddie cry? Should Reece Nelson cry? Should Kirill cry? You know, at the end of the day, do I think Raya and Ramsdale are in the same bracket? Yes. Do I think any of them have grabbed onto their shirt? No. But when Ramsdale comes out and makes comments along the lines of I can't focus for 90 minutes, when we know that Raya was the first choice target, you could see how this was going to pan out. Now, I hope that there's a resolution around it. What I would say is dad needs to be careful. I don't personally think his dad was wrong. I personally like when footballers and parents and everybody speaks about football, because 9 times out of 10, when you have access to hearing what these people have to say, it's all PR-y and things like that. We know Ramsdale's a fan favorite, and I think that's probably the thing that will antagonize me the most, really, is that some people don't like Ramsdale, some people religiously like Ramsdale, so everything Raya or Ramsdale do is going to be used as a stick to hit the other one over the head with. What I think goes in Raya's defense is he's a lot more focused than you. He was Arteta's first choice target, and I don't have the comments to hand, but I remember when Ramsdale was kind of saying sometimes in games he kind of, for want of better phrases, abandons the plan. I don't think Raya does that, whatever you say about him. So that's that. And obviously, if Raya can take us closer to where we need to be, I'm here for it. The players that helped Arteta initially get this club moving again may or may not be here. The players that helped us get top 4 might not be the ones to help us challenge for a title. The people that help us win the first Premier League title by God's grace might not be the players that are going to enable us to win 2 titles or win a Champions League. These are necessary discussions, really, competition. I look at Zinchenko. You've come and you've transformed the system when you joined last season. But at the end of the day, you're probably not strong enough 1v1. So if Timber was fit, that could be bad news for him, or potentially Benjamin White. Gabriel Jesus also transformed the system. We need a striker. In my opinion, Gabriel Jesus and all of these guys could play a role, but Gabriel Jesus needs to play. But we need to do what Man City did with Jesus. We use you for all your talent, but we need someone else who scores. There might be a reality where Odegaard or Saka, 2 of the first names on the team sheet, near enough guaranteed to play every game if fit. If you get players that are better than them, listen, nobody likes Haaland graduates or Haaland more than me. I always say that and I stand on that. But if there's someone better than Saka, then it is what it is. You know, I would love for it. And I'm sure the manager as well, everybody to get their fair game time and stuff. And unfortunately, I wish the world was fair. I wish some of the things that we see in the world didn't happen. But reality is, if life was fair, we do have a lot less. And, you know, correlate that to football. If everybody got the fair minutes and stuff, we wouldn't be doing what we've done for the last 2 years, including now. So I care about the collective. I love Ramsdale. I like what Raya does. May the best man win. I think fans need to get comfortable with potentially difficult decisions. And I'll go over my tweets again because I can't remember exactly everything I said. But for me, everybody talks about Mikel Arteta making difficult decisions and harsh decisions. And when it's over your favourites, myself included, I feel Ramsdale's been done dirty. I think Tierney, there was game time there. Everyone's ooming and ahhing and, oh my God, what's going on? Like, we have to move away from that. Of course, we're always going to fall in love with players, but the levels we go up, there's issues. Now, I hope Arteta can be that ruthless with certain man. He signed for 65 million if they don't turn the corner. But yeah, man said free Rambo. And you know what? You know, I would say that isn't helping the cause to a degree, because if I'm Arteta, I might sit there and go, boy, you know what? Ramsdale, if I play devil's advocate, do you think them comments? Did you tell your dad to say that? Are these your dad's legit comments, or is this? If you share that sentiment, that's your father. You lot are speaking. You know, Ramsdale Senior isn't like us, where we're just speaking about it. He probably has an informed opinion. So I might be thinking, smash the like button. Whoa, what's going on there? We know half the time when we see wives and brothers and agents, bro, the players might not think word for word what these guys think, but it echoes the same sentiment. Now, in Ramsdale's defense, he has told his dad to shut up before when he started getting at Jamie Carragher and things like that. So I'll have to see. Of course, you're going to feel hard done by. Do I believe his dad saying, and we're going to go over all of this, do I believe his dad sitting there and saying, oh, Arteta hasn't told him specifically? Yes and no. Naturally, as a manager, you've probably got to tell a little white lie or two to these players, rightly or wrongly, and things like that. And, you know, as a manager, it's difficult because you could tell a man, I believe in you. There's no first choice, etc. But if he is saying that to Ramsdale, and Ramsdale's not starting games, and all the most important games up to this point this season, David Raya has been there. Chelsea away, you was there. Champions League, you've been there. Manchester City, you've been there. North London Derby, forgive me if I'm... Yeah, it was. You've been there. Like, that tells you everything, really. You know, I do believe he had a conversation with Arteta, but at the same time, Arteta don't owe him nothing. If anyone walks into this club, nobody's owed nothing. Nobody's assured anything. Ramsdale feel hard done by and put a big FU to Mikel Arteta by the way you're training and the opportunities you get. You know, you're going to play against Brentford because Raya can't play. Look at Martinez. Whether Martinez leaving was the right or wrong decision, he said, you know what, I'll back myself. End of the day, he's won a World Cup. He's at Aston Villa. And with the greatest of respect to Aston Villa of what they're doing, surely it's sooner rather than later that Emi Martinez goes to a team that is in the Champions League, etc. So just put up or shut up. You know, Ramsdale, you can't, you know, Arteta was the one that believed in you. Many people didn't want Ramsdale. You were playing. Obviously, sometimes you was making mistakes. You had Matt Turner who's not touching you. If Raya makes mistakes, then you've got Ramsdale. I still think he'll fight. Obviously, it's a unique position because Southgate is scaring guys and saying you're not going to get called up if you're not playing. He's peak. But I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I just feel the timing, the conversation, this unique delicacy that we see between Ramsdale and Raya, I can see why fans will go another way, man. Oh, no, not another non-athletic slowpoke. Ramsdale's dad isn't wrong per se, but this should have never come into the public domain. If you have an issue, then he should have spoke to Arteta directly. This should have been kept in-house. I hear you, and you're not wrong. But to be fair, I don't think he necessarily criticized Mikel Arteta or the decision. I think he just gave his opinion. And what I would say, Aaron Ramsdale's a grown man, you know. I know he's only like 24, 25. His dad should allow it to a degree, really and truly. You're a grown man. You're a grown man. You're big enough. You're old enough. You know, you're in a serious, you know, masculine, high testosterone environment like elite sports in the men's game. Bro, pull up your pants, bro. Your dad shouldn't be chatting, really and truly. Or your dad's allowed his opinion, but his dad seems to talk frequently. You're a big man. You're Ramsdale. Congratulations once again, because him and his wife, as he said in the player tribute, you know, they unfortunately had a miscarriage. So by God's grace, they've been gifted a child. You're a dad now. Like, pull up your pants. You know, Ramsdale, this isn't really about Ramsdale, but I like how Ramsdale likes to talk to the media. But some would say maybe you're chatting a bit too much, really. I don't think the message is wrong, man. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And he did call his son a cup goalie. I do think it was kind of slightly out of context what he said, but nonetheless, you're right, man. So, yeah. Plus, I'm sure Ramsdale wouldn't have wanted his dad to pull it on Twitter either. It doesn't help his son and doesn't change a thing. I mean, to be fair, his dad, of his own accord, you know, linked up on a YouTube channel and spoke in it. I don't know if he's asked Ramsdale what's going on there, but yeah. And to be fair, we'll never know specifically what Mikel Arteta has said to Raya or Ramsdale. I don't know if he's got them both in the room and said, you know what, you man, may the best man win. I think you both got strengths. Raya, you're holding on to the spot. Ramsdale, the door's not closed. Or as he said, Ramsdale, this is what I'm trying to do. Raya's on they're breathing down your neck. Hold on to your shirt. Or has it been made clear who is the number one and the number two? Ironically, we said this yesterday. Me personally, I think the club in the summer, I hope we address central midfield. I hope we address right wing. I hope we bring in a striker. And we're probably going to have to use this period, if we haven't already, because when we brought in Raya, we had to have considered this. You know, we need to find somebody that is closely aligned to what Arteta demands currently of Ramsdale and Raya, and quote unquote happy to be number two. Like you look at City's Ortega, he tried to leave actually, so I don't think he's happy with being number two. But clearly, who's 1 and 2? We all know Arteta. Maybe he genuinely wanted 2 in each position, but we all know the goalie position. It's not a thing you consistently rotate. This ain't FIFA. This ain't Football Manager. There's a number 1 and there's a number 2. You know, again, a big reason as to obviously you need depth and other options and stuff, but a big reason as to why you saw real building blocks last season is because people are playing in their positions and playing on consistent basis. We allowed Gabriel and Saliba to thrive as that centre-half pairing. Zinchenko on the left, Benjamin White on the right, Ramsdale behind individually, you know, the right-sided centre-back with the left-sided centre-back, you know, the full-backs on either side with the centre-backs on either side, that whole cohesive defensive unit with including the goalie, you know, and how it ties into midfield, how the wingers and the full-backs link up. Of course, you need rotation, you need other options, but you can't have Raya in there 1 minute and then it's Ramsdale and then 1 minute is Timber and then Zinchenko and Tomiyasu. It's not happening unless you've got players of the caliber of Manchester City. And even then, it's not like Pep completely shuffles everything every game. It's not realistic. If everybody, you know, I want everyone to be upset about not having a game at this club, but this ain't under nines football. You're not paying subs and people are playing for the sake of it. This is elite sport. Do I think Raya has answered every question? Again, so no one misunderstands. Do I think Raya's asked every question? Do I think he's clear of Ramsdale? No. I must admit, between both of them, I like them both. And assuming it stayed like that, I don't think goalie's necessarily a problem. But if that new Alisson came on the scene for a while, for example, like the next Alisson or someone of that caliber, like what Liverpool did when they bought him and Van Dijk, I can't lie. I don't think we're going to do it, but I think there's every logic in binning both of them and getting that guy, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, man, at least we got some content to make. Big up 2-3 and everyone else. Ramsdale should stop talking, get on with it. Does too much media crap. Just head down, do your job. To be fair, this isolated incident, he didn't do anything. And I like footballers talking, but it does feel like Ramsdale's very happy to just kind of jump at anyone that will give him an opportunity. He's been on Ben Foster's been on all of it, man. But we all know Arsenal fans, you know, you mention anything to do with Arsenal or Arsenal players, we give engagement really and truly. Ramsdale and Zinni like to talk to the press too much, shut up and work. To be fair, I wish all players would, man, because let's be honest, in this country, footballers don't have much personality. Let's be real. When they do talk, they have to give that same PR-y stuff. So when I see Saka and Maddison bantering each other, when I see just how Maddison carries on, when I see Ramsdale and many others, it's nice to see some effing personality, man, really. But I don't think in principle the message is wrong, but I could understand how it could frustrate. And I'm not suggesting Ramsdale Sr. does this, but do you remember when Mikel Arteta said, I would exterminate whoever's leaking stuff? Clearly they've gone. But you know, if I'm Arteta and I'm as a manager, you've got to be paranoid, you know, from a footballing sense. You know, Pep Guardiola, everyone can celebrate. The moment he won the treble, everyone can celebrate. You've got to be paranoid. Oh my God, the only way he's down. I need to move forward. If I'm Arteta and I don't think this is Ramsdale and Ramsdale Senior, but I might think, boy, you know what? You don't have the potential to leak things to the press. I might have to get you out of here, really. But I don't know, man. And I don't know how the media obligation things works at Arsenal, but you know, I don't know how it works, but who sanctioned this really? Ramsdale's dad doesn't need to get involved chatting to Arteta. Nothing he can say or do to change Arteta's decision anyways. And I'm with that. If I'm Arteta, respectfully to Ramsdale's dad, who are you, blood? Come out the team. Are you even allowed to be at London Coley? Yeah, cool, you're Ramsdale dad, but who are you? Don't chat to me. I'm sure everybody, you know, I'm sure everybody's family is saying something that has an opinion like us. But what can you tell me? This is not Sunday League. This is not under nines. I am not paying subs. Shove it, suck yourself. Pardon my language. What if Ramsdale's dad genuinely has something to say to Arteta? Out of all the problems Arteta's got to deal with, trying to win a league, people thinking he's not good enough, trying to get Arsenal to give a good account of themselves in the Champions League, trying to make us damn well create, trying to make us better across all aspects. Bro, I don't give a flying monkeys what Ramsdale's dad has to say. Of course, it's a family thing. I'll have a conversation, but bro, there's no way I'm taking time out of my busy day. And even now during the international break where I might finally have some time to be with my wife and kids and do my own thing. Dude, bro, Ramsdale, really cool if it was young, I don't know, Miles Lewis Skelly or Ethan, where they're young men and their parents are still, you know, a proactive part to a degree. Cool, you would sit them down. But Ramsdale's a big man. You've been in some serious dressing rooms and stuff. Ramsdale himself has even spoken about the goalkeeper situation around Leno. Yeah, I can't lie. When Ramsdale says I can't concentrate for 90 minutes, it's crazy because, again, if I heard that when I'm Mikel Arteta, he's not the first or the last. But think about it. If we want to, you know, even Gareth Southgate, if you want to be the first choice for England and you're in the latter stages of tournaments and the same at club level, I don't want to hear that from my keeper, if I'm honest. And that's why, for me, I've always said, I think Ramsdale looks a lot better when he has to do something I don't want to see with Arsenal. And naturally, I don't want my keeper to have to do anything, any game, really. But Ramsdale looks the best when he's having to pull off bare saves, Leeds away, Liverpool away, you know, these sort of things. Twitch spliffed my Twitch channel, mate. You know, they said we're doing something wrong by watching us. We're watching the under-21s. Where is that Fier? Under 17, sorry. Wait, is that Fabio Vieira on the under 21s team sheet? I think they're playing soon. And again, this week, I'm really trying to get some academy videos out for you, man, if I'm honest. But I don't know. Maybe it's a chance for Fabio Vieira to play. You haven't played too much. You're out for 3 games now. I very much doubt you're away with Portugal. But yeah, man. The timing of this coming out just because he has to start against Brentford. And that's the thing now. With every Raya or Ramsdale game, rather than praise or critique them off their own back and what they did in that game, it's going to be under the guise of, oh, that's why Raya plays. That's why Ramsdale plays. That's why this and that. You know, I think the writing's on the wall for Ramsdale anyways, unless he's happy to be number 2. You know, I'm not saying the door's closed, but it looks like it's left you sort of thing, really. Only Mikel Arteta will know why you gave my man a new deal and then signed Raya. Personally, I think that's to protect our resale value. And it is a reward for Ramsdale's contributions last season and things. But I don't know, really. But Raya was the number 1 choice. Maybe Ramsdale hasn't improved to the level deemed. Maybe it will be the wrong decision. You know, Ramsdale is younger. And I think if Ramsdale had that added bit of focus, he improves his positioning and he just becomes a bit more calculated, I think he could be a really, really top goalkeeper. He already is. He's playing in the Premier League, man. Arsenal should sign Santiago Jimenez. It's going to cost an arm and a leg, man. Did you see Ian Wright's face when Ramsdale said that? Yeah, I did. I don't know if you've seen it, but I kind of skimmed over what we're talking about now. It's more extended thoughts, but I'll drop a link. I've already kind of spoken about this already, folks, but yeah, man, I thought it was a chance to go live because what else is there to talk about on the live stream during the international break? But for what it's worth, Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal's goalkeeper's father, says the way in which Mikel Arteta dropped him was wrong. And I'm not going to lie, it does seem like Aaron Ramsdale's dad has a lot of ties, or not ties, but seems rather close with a lot of Arsenal content creators. So is everybody being honest with how they're speaking about it? I feel sorry for Ramsdale. You know, football is about identifying. It's about, I don't like the word idolizing, but idolizing players and things like that. And definitely in the last 18 months, maybe 3 years, we've definitely got some players at this football club that, simply put, we actually like people. So I get why fans would do that. But you can't call for Arteta to be ruthless and all of this and you're all for it. But when it's actually players that we like, there's issues. We're not going to get to where we need to get to behaving like that. And he said the way in which Mikel Arteta dropped him was wrong. I mean, for Ramsdale, it's an issue, really, because, you know, I'm sure they're probably talking about with the England camp. If I'm Mikel Arteta and I genuinely kind of tying in what we said and I genuinely made it crystal clear what's going on with Aaron Ramsdale, then I'm looking at Ramsdale funny, like, yo, tell your dad to pattern up. But nonetheless, people, we know Ramsdale's been our number 1 for the last 2 seasons. We know Raya's joined the football club. Apparently, he said, we did not have a clue Ramsdale was going to be dropped. I didn't have a clue. Our family didn't have a clue. Aaron didn't have a clue that he was not going to carry on playing. All of a sudden, he's not being played. I hear that, but, like, you know, it is what it is. You know, so if there's a better winger out there than Saka and we sign him, bro, like, do we really have to talk about Bukayo Saka? This is a board decision, you know. It don't make sense. When you are working at a job, yeah, unless you know there's a vacancy, does your organization tell you they're bringing someone in? Or they do it, and then when he's there, oh, this is your new colleague, blah blah blah. No one knows you nothing, man. You know, I'm not being funny, but remember, man, them were at Sheffield United. You know, remember that. Behave. You just have to look at it. You just have to look at it personally. And I'm probably saying too much, but we reckon. But Aaron is going to be the cup keeper, and David Raya is going to be the main man unless something happens, an injury or a sending off. And Aaron's got to live with that, and he's living with that, even though he's not been told it by anybody. Fair enough. And I mean, that tells me that Aaron's told you that. He hasn't been told that. Now, why Arteta wouldn't tell you that, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to demotivate people. Maybe he genuinely wants competition. You know, on the eve of Raya actually making his debut, didn't it come out with the Athletic and all of that, that Arteta's considering starting Raya because he's been training very well, etc., etc. But he's got to live with it. You know, if he goes to, I personally think Aaron Ramsdale's going to Newcastle, but Nick Pope's there. Let's just say Nick Pope wasn't there. The way Newcastle are, you can't rule out that a new keeper wouldn't be better than you or compete. He's been linked with Chelsea. Romano says that's wide of the marks. You've got Sanchez there. It is what it is. Who knows? Maybe the game progresses to the point, people, where the Premier League or football in general genuinely becomes that, where you have two keepers and you see more rotation between goalies week in, week out. We know some clubs, have rotated in the league. And technically, well, not really us, but technically us. Ramsdale's got 4 Premier League appearances. So, yeah, he said squads evolve all the time. Nobody's going to be there forever. David Raya has not pulled up trees so far. So let's say he's not going to, even though the way it's been done in my eyes has been wrong. Why has it been wrong? I mean, if Arteta's brought him in, that's the man he's going to use. I don't think you're wrong. Hasn't pulled up any trees, and squads do evolve, really. I mean, if he genuinely hasn't had a conversation, then I think you're all right to feel aggrieved. He then said Aaron's lost that smile and it's difficult to see him there. We all keep saying you need to keep smiling. At the moment in time, we haven't got that smile on him because he's not playing. But you just got to keep going. It could be better. It could be worse. David Raya is a great goalkeeper, and it's not his fault. He's just come in as a goalkeeper. It's just like when Aaron came in and Leno was there. Aaron says Raya is a lovely guy and he works hard with him. Aaron is trying to help as much as he can to settle in with the squad. It's possible the way it's been done, not knowing the reason why. Big up Aaron Ramsdale for that one, really and truly. He then said, my only problem is when I spoke to Mikel Arteta on the phone before he signed Aaron, he said he wanted Aaron, but now David Raya is back on the market. He had David Raya. I mean, you're being a bit naive. Like, what the hell is he going to say there? Of course he's going to say that. Of course he's going to say it. Of course he's going to say that. David Raya weren't available. You was. I'm trying to get you to sign for the club. All managers are honest, but they're all liars. We do the same. You're going to play. I'm telling every player to a degree, you're going to play. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Why is he going to say, yeah, I actually want David Raya? You know, fair enough. Again, Sheffield United, big up you. You still could come to the football club, but come on now. It's sounding a bit too, not personal. And it's his dad, isn't it? Of course you are. But like, I don't think his dad has said anything wrong necessarily. But we now need to kind of remove the Ramsdale family hat. I remember this is professional football, you know. Aaron Ramsdale's already been, you know, do you know how ruthless football is anyways? You know, Ramsdale's, I'm sure, been released in academy days. I'm sure been through tough moments like Raya as well and everyone. It don't work like that. Nobody's owed a damn thing in this world. Really. You think Bukayo Saka is playing because he's a nice guy and he's cute and he smiles? Of course these things help, but he's playing because he's a bloody good footballer. If Saka was exactly the same minus the footballing ability, then he's probably chatting shit on YouTube like me. Allow it, man. Anyways, apparently said, I don't know. Aaron has just signed on his future. I don't know. Aaron has just signed a new deal with 3 or 4 years with an option for 12 months. This is honestly truthful. I'm not spinning the yarn. This is purely me. Why would you extend the goalkeeper or any player's contract and then 2 or 3 months later make a move on someone else? Because maybe David Raya, we didn't think it was possible. We didn't think that we could sign him. You know, Spurs were onto him. Chelsea were onto him, as his agent has said. Maybe we didn't think we could do that. And when you see the loan and now we've got over FFP, and as stated, Mikel Arteta had an admiration for the guy. Maybe this just made too much sense, really and truly. Once again, for what it's worth, I don't think either's clear of anyone. I do think there's more things that point towards David Raya being Arteta's number one. But from what I see as a fan, I like Aaron Ramsdale. I like Raya. If you could offer me someone of Alisson's level or better than that, I'm bidding both of them. I'll be real. Whichever one of you wants to be number 2, cool. I'm bringing in someone levels. I think you both got pluses and you both got minuses. I think David Raya recent weeks has taken a step in the right direction, but I don't think I've been blown away and wow. And, you know, with Ramsdale at the time, his ball playing ability, or when Zinchenko and Jesus came in, I can't evidently see to a significant level how improved the starting 11 at this moment in time, or what Arteta requires. I do think the level of focus is a bit better. I do think the willingness to play out from the back is a bit better. I do think his average positioning, where he's kind of like a centre half, is a bit better. But as I said, same bracket, really and truly. So yeah. And obviously, people say the loan thing, or we could palm Raya back. It's clearly a permanent deal. It's only not permanent because we got to wear around FFP. So it is what it is. Ramsdale's are angling for a move. But angle for the move. If you want to angle for the move, you contract sign, you're a bloody good goalie. For me, you're not going nowhere in January. I don't give a monkeys. You're not going nowhere in January. Some are patting up your thing. If I'm Mikel Arteta, of course, I want him to get called up for England, but I don't care. I don't care what Southgate's going to do at the end of the season because people onto me if I don't achieve whatever. God forbid if Raya breaks his leg today or breaks his wrist, who are we calling? Carl Hein, Arthur Akonku, Demidi. Forgive me for the shades. Decent, really. Now Ramsdale's got to really fight. It's been a breath of fresh air. Ramsdale's had to deal with a lot of adversity in his career. Even when he walked into the club, nobody wanted, majority of people didn't want him. They had a lot to say. He had to prove people wrong. He did that. He was part of the Arsenal team that had great failures, but were building, togetherness. He's having a family. I'm sure he could have seen him, David Seaman doing interviews with him and all of that. He could see himself being here for a while. So I hear it. You feel disgruntled, but Arteta don't owe you nothing. If Raya can genuinely make us a better football club, which I see what you're bringing, but I don't think it's evidently clear in these few months you've been here, who cares? I want Tierney to be here. I think Tierney should have stayed because I think we need him on the bench. But if Tierney said, you know what, I'm not really playing as much gaffer, if the gaffer said, you know what, I need to do inverted stuff, safe. There might be a reality, where other players fall with this. And how many other players are not here? I don't see Eddie Nketiah's dad waffling. I don't see Trossard's dad waffling. I don't see these things, and I don't think he's wrong. It's interesting. I think Ramsdale's good enough for a top 6 team. Also think we complain about players not being loyal to clubs, but clubs aren't loyal to players. Think he should push for a big move. Loyalty is a two-way street. And how far does loyalty go in football? Because let's just say I'm Bukayo Saka. I've been here since 16, 17. God forbid, but Arsenal don't go on to win Premier Leagues and by God's grace, please, Champions League one day and for honours. And he stays here until he's 35. Obviously, at 35, there's going to be younger models. We're moving in another direction. All you're going to get, if you're lucky, is a testimonial and a handshake. Saka can't sit there and say, oh, yeah, but I should have went to this club, that club. We've got to remember, as much as it's a family, we're not here to make friends. We're here to win games. You're here because you're doing something. You're not here because you're a nice guy. Ramsdale Senior likes Ramsdale for other reasons, because that's a kid. Arteta doesn't have to, and I'm sure he likes him, but it is what it is. And I do think that Ramsdale can play at a high level, but reality is, where could he go? Because Chelsea are going through the same thing. Newcastle are going through the same thing. Man United, I can't see it, but you're going through the same thing with Onana, who they've just signed. If you back yourself at these clubs more, then whatever Arteta's told you with Raya and stuff, fair enough. But where are you going? Some people say Bayern Munich. I'm not clear on what their goalkeeping situation is. I'm sure they've probably got someone else playing instead of Neuer. You've got Neuer to come back. I don't know what's going on. There are clubs in Europe you could play for. I think Ramsdale's a bad boy keeper. I think you should be number one for England for what it's worth. But obviously, there's a spanner in the works now, man. Bless up yourself, Jason. Ramsdale's dad shouldn't have said anything, in my opinion, especially with the coming game against Brentford after the international break. And you saw how, in my opinion, how some of our fans were very harsh, in my opinion, to Aaron Ramsdale in the West Ham game because he's playing in front of Joltman. We're going to get into that stuff in a bit. Keep your thoughts coming. Big up yourself, David. It seems like a lot of you are onto his dad, man. A lot of you onto his dad. Love for the super chat. I love Thuram. Bring him to the carpet, but Vegas Gooner. Love for your super chat, but he's going to cost a lot of money. Go on, Ramsdale's lost us 4 games last season, which cost us the league. I mean, that's disrespectful, man. No single player, even if they've made a mistake, even if it is 1-0 to the other team, we've not had a shot on target, and that team has only scored because Ramsdale has played a silly pass and they've put it in the back of the net. Not a single player is isolated, allowed to be blamed for anything. Because across the other 90 minutes, what the hell happened there? And as much as Ramsdale may and may not have made mistakes, what fucking player out there last season could say they didn't make a mistake or they were top of, they were top of their game every game? They're human. Mistakes happen. And how many times did Ramsdale save our bacon? So we can do that, but I think that's silly. Ramsdale's done a lot for this team. What we're not going to do is scapegoat people. Ramsdale in isolation didn't lose us that. In the same way, even Rob Holding, as crap as he is, he's not the reason we didn't win the Prem. You go and look through, obviously, not having Saliba hurt us, but there was many a times Holding actually played and made mistakes, but was better than a lot of players. It's very simple to look at it like that. And against Liverpool, bro, do you remember the second half? Ramsdale saved us, bro. And I don't care about Ramsdale, but let's keep it honest. West Ham, is he alone? Because you've not mentioned, and I'm not blaming people, you've not mentioned Thomas Partey dilly-dallying and getting the ball robbed off him by Declan Rice. Southampton, yeah, he made a mistake. But what happened in the others? Did everybody in front of goal do the best they needed to do? Did everybody defend? Our one luxury I'll always give Aaron Ramsdale, our goalie is our last line of defense. So before I ask a single question of Ramsdale, what the hell has happened? Now, don't get it twisted. I do agree there's been many a times I've sat there and I've looked at Ramsdale, and it might not necessarily be his fault. It's like, your position is bad, your near post ain't good enough, etc., etc. I think that's very harsh, man. Ramsdale is a bit reckless, man. He's made huge mistakes, but he's also saved our bacon. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you do such. And let's not act like Raya ain't got a mistake in him or ain't made a mistake. And I'm not trying to catch people out. I don't want to do this tribalism. And for what it's worth, the harshest thing is Ramsdale actually hasn't said anything. It's his dad. So this is where it gets a bit mad. So this is where you might look at his dad and say, could you have reined it in? Me personally, I tweeted stuff. I said, it's always back Arteta until it's time to improve on fan favourites. It's always I support the manager's tough decisions until it's fave players. The team comes before any individual. This is not a child's team. Nobody is guaranteed anything. Change the manager's thinking or depart the club, people. What else did I say as well? Because as I said here, the reality of loyalty in football is a myth anyways, people. There's zero loyalty in football, rightly so. I feel sorry for Ramsdale 100%. I don't think Raya's 100% taking his shirt, but this is where we are at now. Nobody told him to sign a new deal. I love Saka, but if someone better than him takes his spot, why would you not want that? Same could be said for Timber with White/Zilly to a degree. Obviously, keepers are unique, but you get the point, man. Like, you get the point. And the case could be said one day for Zinchenko and Jesus. If everybody was fit, you know, Zinchenko might be in trouble, really and truly. For what it's worth, once again, we've been linked with Ruben Neves. I don't know if you lot buy this. Obviously, we've previously been linked with him. He's been linked with a loan move to Newcastle. Obviously, we've got injuries in central midfield. A low-risk loan could tie us over till next season, and this could be more attainable in theory than Douglas Luiz. Saying that, didn't he just move to the Middle East? I hear it. Get your money. Arsenal ready to hijack Newcastle's move for Ruben Neves. As TalkSport reported earlier this month, Newcastle have explored the possibility of signing Neves on loan to cover for the ban to Nali. However, Premier League clubs are expected to vote next week in favour of a block on clubs loaning players from within their own ownership group. Neves is registered with Al Hilal, who are owned by Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, as are Newcastle. The changes in regulation could benefit Arsenal, who obviously Partey is injured. So, and apparently Edu's a known admirer of Neves. But apart from, you know, it just seems like this whole voting to block loans is why Arsenal could get him. So is this a case of creative accounting? Creative article writing. I don't know. But what it's worth, Arsenal allegedly have been alerted to the possibility of obviously signing my man on 90-minute sport. Apparently, 90-minute understands that Neves is keen on returning to the Premier League and Arsenal could offer him a route back to Europe. Respectfully to Wolves, I know he's got admiration there, but what's the more sexiest club to sign for? Like we're Beyonce, they're, I don't know, I don't want to be disrespectful, but they're something else, isn't it? Arsenal are, Gemma Collins or something, Arsenal are looking to bring a new midfielder during the January window, which is music to my ears. Thomas Partey's future at the club is increasingly uncertain, while he's also currently sidelined for a long-term period of a muscle injury. Neves, who may be available in a loan deal, is one player of interest to the Gunners. Apparently, we've also been linked with Fluminense's Andre, which we know. João Neves, the young Benfica lad, like that, but he's going to cost probably cost a lot more than Zubimendi. But yeah, you've got him, Douglas Luiz, Andre, Zubimendi. We've been linked with half of these guys. Whether you can bring them in January, I mean, out of these names said here, I think it's going to cost a lot to get João Neves from Benfica. Zubimendi, you just need about 50-odd million to activate the release clause. But does he want to leave his boyhood club mid-season? That was something said last January. Douglas Luiz, you have to pay something stupid, really, because why would Aston Villa want to let a player they've just signed to a new deal? And obviously, they're challenging for whatever they're challenging. Fluminense's Andre, based on these names, in my opinion, is the most attainable. They said they're not selling him in the summer. They'll sell him at the end of the year. There you have it. So I don't know. For what it's worth, Neves has played 17 games for El Hilal, people, for what it's worth, people. And maybe moving back to Europe for a short-term loan as you prepare for the Euros, which I'm sure you're going to be a part of to some degree of Portugal, could be something. Apparently, Odegaard missed Arsenal's last 2 games due to a concussion after being hit in the face with a ball in training, but it's likely to return after the international break. Obviously, where the concussion protocols, rightly so in the modern day, you have to tread quite carefully. But yeah, man, who smacked him in his face, isn't it? Apparently, he had been struggling with a hip injury, people, as well on that. But apparently, him missing out on Newcastle was the result of that happening. Pardon me. it is what it is. Apparently, concussion rules state players must rest for 6 days and be symptoms free before returning to action. And to be brutally honest, it's the right thing to do if they're, it's concussions in it. And we've seen the studies that have happened with some other sports and around this sort of stuff. Listen, Odegaard, literally, your brain is your strongest strength, and you're gonna need that in it. So as long as he's all right, really and truly. Apparently, meanwhile, the Brazil Football Federation have exercised their right to examine Gabriel Jesus' fitness, despite the Gunners forward not featuring for Arsenal since October the 24th, people. Apparently, Arsenal wanted him to recover in London during the international break. Brazil are insisting on him. And apparently, people, the Brazil doctors offered an update on the individual. Apparently, he's played down fears of Gabriel Jesus exacerbating his existing hamstring injury. What specifically have you said? We know that he has been recovering from a muscle injury to the back of his right thigh and has already started working on his physical condition on the field. But the fact that we bring the player is Delice's philosophy, bringing the whole group, having all the players close. I mean, if he's just continuing doing what he's doing, I ain't got a problem with it. Of course, traveling, flying, these things could have a factor on your recovery. Obviously, like anything in life, what Arsenal feel is the best course of medical recovery for Jesus. Brazil might disagree. Obviously, he's not owned by anyone, but he's Arsenal's player. They're going to want that. They're the only issues. But yeah, I definitely don't want you to feature against, I think they've got Colombia and Argentina. Those are some serious games. And the way Jesus plays, he does put his body on the line. It's a bit scary, people. So we'll have to see where that's concerned. Apparently, Kyrgios is drawing interest from Jose Mourinho's Roma. Again, you see the injuries. You should not be going anywhere. For what it's worth, it says, among the players like there is certainly Kyrgios, the Pole, who moved to Arsenal a year ago for more than 25 million euros, is not finding much space, and therefore it could become an interesting market opportunity. It would be silly to let him go. Apparently, Arteta vetoed a loan move to Sevilla in the summer, people. I don't really believe that, big up Roma in that, but yeah. Douglas Luiz is still linked with Arsenal, and there's talk around swapping Smith Rowe plus cash. I don't buy that. And if I'm Aston Villa, I just want top money, as good as he is. Spurs to sell Man United linked star to beat Arsenal in race for 40 million, whatever. So Spurs have joined the race to sign Andre from Fluminense. So that's now Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Fulham, and therefore our next team I'm missing out. While Man United, Arsenal, and Liverpool are all keen, Spurs have since joined the race. Should they pip their rivals to a signature, Postecoglou would be willing to part ways with Højbjerg. Okay. You'd reckon with their injuries, they need someone regardless. Saliba's international manager has said he feels the pressure of competition with France. Probably it's French football. And, as great as Saliba is and he's on his way to greatness, bro, international football is a very different ball game where the margins are smaller for error. And obviously, Saliba does look a bit uncomfortable for France on the left-hand side of the centre-half pairing. And he's still 22. But what it's worth, Deschamps has said, at international level, he hasn't always found himself in the best conditions in matches where I've rotated a lot. Well, yeah, you have done him dirty. He isn't in the same psychological situation with his club where he doesn't ask himself if he'll play at the weekend. He's going to have to get with it. There's plenty of international footballers, you could say, that have to go through that. When he has game time with us, he tells himself he needs to play well because there are others behind him. He's not in a psychological situation that is the same as his club. He has everything he needs to take the next step. Big him up, but I mean, you can see what's in the water in France. So I don't think Saliba's got anything to worry about. Again, the Norway gaffer has played down fears of an Odegaard injury, people, and said, when the club is so reticent, I can't say that. I don't know how right it is for me to talk about it. It's a normal football injury that you probably recover from very well, that is not career-threatening. But that's great. You definitely want to hear that surrounding Martin Odegaard. Barcelona are still open to selling Rafinha next summer and hope top European clubs will bid for the Brazilian forward. Now, I only mentioned that because you're gonna see articles. And sorry to break you lot's heart, people. Valverde said, if you Google, you will see stories about how I almost went to Arsenal at 16. That's maybe half true. We've all seen them. It's nothing against Arsenal, but I never wanted to go to England. At the time, the business side of football took over. Certain people were telling me, who wouldn't want to go play for Arsenal? You want to stay here in Uruguay? That's crazy. Fair enough, man. Everything happens for a reason, and you've won bare Champions Leagues and stuff, but you've also broke my heart, ain't you? Would have loved to have had you at the club. If there was a huge difference in quality between Raya and Ramsdale, then I don't think this would be an issue, but it doesn't seem like there's much difference, which is true. But then playing devil's advocate, what's the point of signing Raya then? Like, if it's not clear, like, yeah, we've spoken systemically wise, we could see, but if you're not clear of him, then what's the point? Surely there was no point. And I don't care, because at least for 6 months or a year, we've got 2 quality keepers. respectfully to Matt Turner, I never really had confidence with you. And maybe Ramsdale would be even better as a goalie. Not that I think Ramsdale doesn't want to improve and stuff, but naturally, you know, Raya knows if I mess about, I don't know who the Brentford goalie is, but Raya knows if I mess about to a point, Ramsdale is an international and it's a Euros year. He's breathing down my neck. Ramsdale, if he gets that shirt back, you know, like Wenger said, you have to suffer. Since Ramsdale's come in, it's been a Disneyland movie. He's been running away with playing. Now you've lost it and it's a bit of a nightmare. Maybe when you get it, you'd be a bit more, you know, holding on to it sort of thing. I don't know. Big up, and I care about both keepers staying and winning us cups. If whoever wants to stay, stay. If whoever wants to cut. But there should be loyalty. To a degree, where is the loyalty coming from? Of course, I would love a world where there's loyalty and there's examples, but let's be honest, football is a relationship of convenience. The great, you know, Pep is loved at City conditionally, obviously unconditionally for what he's done, but on the condition that you're the best manager to ever done it. We love Saka because you come from the academy, because we identify with you, but because you're a bloody good footballer. It's a relationship of convenience. There's no point loving people for the sake of it. Go find a man or find a girl. This is football, isn't it? It's so ugly. It's somewhat beautiful. I do think, like Leno, though, at the point of when Ramsdale was dropped, I think it was harsh. Because I even think when Leno got dropped, he got dropped against City where we got battered, but it was one of those games which, for all of Leno's faults, there was numerous times where we were getting our asses kicked, but, you know, without Leno, it could have been about 10. Ramsdale makes good saves, but he applies no pressure on front players. What do you mean by that? And I just want to say, on the topic of errors, now Raya might have less than him, which Raya has made a couple of errors. You know, lens away comes to mind. The Chelsea thing comes to mind. But we play out from the back. You're going to see those brain farts on a couple of occasions. Vieira and Reece Nelson starting against Reading. Go get your minutes, man. Ramsdale needs to focus on improving his game. Brazil do not trust Arsenal anymore. I mean, we shouldn't trust them. They shouldn't trust us. Brazil don't give a flying monkeys about what Arsenal are trying to do with our season, because they want Jesus for whatever they're doing. And likewise, past the point, we don't care what you're doing for your country. All of these players, you just have to hope Brazilian FA are a bit like England, leave Saka alone a bit. But to be fair, you lot saying Ramsdale should focus on his own game. Where is he not focused? Said he's like, how do we know he's not focusing? And even if he wasn't, yeah, can you really draw that from an interview, which was his dad's? But you know, let's just say I'm a footballer for Arsenal. I go online, I talk, I'm not playing. I say some of these talking points, yeah, and you lot are talking about me like that. I might have spent an hour on that podcast after training, and then after that, I like I said, I've been training. I might go and do some work with a PT. How do we know? Arsenal should get Rafinha. I don't know, man. I'm off the boil. I mean, if Mikel Arteta wants him, fair enough, man. I don't watch your channel enough, yes, DG. Appreciate that, man. Ramsdale dropped after Fulham howler. I mean, any howlers you make, the biggest problem for Ramsdale is collecting crosses for me, really and truly. And that's one thing I liked over Emi Martinez had. You know, for me, there's the Southampton one. There's when he come to collect against Man United as well. I would say the biggest strength of Ramsdale and the weakness is he's too emotional. I think he feeds off them big games, but sometimes it's ants in your pants. I think his positioning needs a lot of work, because there's more time. It was them games where we're winning and we're, you know, when we used to get angry, like the game was one-way traffic, but we haven't kept a clean sheet. There'll be a sequence of errors and you'll just think, oh, Ramsdale, near post, could you have done better? Could your positioning have been better? So yeah, Ramsdale needs to focus on his own game, man. Me, I don't really care who's the number one in it. Like, I like Ramsdale. Still, I don't really want to sell you unless something ridiculous. I like Raya. I don't think you're clear of Ramsdale, and I'm not gonna say it's a wow thing with Raya in Arsenal's right now. I don't think I'm moved by anything. He's doing his thing. You're doing well, but I don't think you're clear of him at this moment in time. The problem with Arsenal and always been no trust in players. Arsenal need to buy replacements to buy replacement to rest key players. If that was a Ramsdale howler, with that logic, Arteta should have dropped Leno away before he did. I hear that. Leno was always the better shot stopper. Then Ramsdale, I disagree, you know. But then again, he's doing his thing at Fulham. Who knows, man? We might, if we done what I wanted, which obviously I'm not the manager, and we kept Emi Martinez, Raya and Ramsdale may not have been a thing. Our next target should be Neto and Luiz, in my opinion, a striker. Not 100% sure for anyone that we've been linked with. I would love a centre midfielder, a right winger, and a striker. But if we was only bringing in one, for me, in January, someone in the centre of the park. let's just say from January to the summer, I would like 2 central midfielders. I'm forgetting like how to count on my hands. 2 central midfielders, if you lot can see that. A winger, a striker, and this Ramsdale thing can't persist in it. So we need to the analytical department. You need to be finding that number 2 goalie, if I'm honest. And if I'm honest, you know, has our recruitment of goalies really been that lit? Clearly, Matt Turner was a stopgap signing, but was he really that good? Runnison, shit, it's a lot. Let's be honest, was never good. Don't know who. He must have just won a chance to play for Arsenal in a cereal box or something. There's no way you're a professional goalie, really, if I'm honest with you. Ramsdale has done well, but there's obviously been shortcomings. And at this moment in time, like Ramsdale, Raya's done well, but there's shortcomings and you're not moved. Martinez definitely the better keeper between the three. Right, even Martinez does. As much as I'm bigging him up, even he's got owlers in him. But yeah, man, I didn't want him to go. I didn't want Xhaka to go. I didn't want Xhaka to go last year. I didn't want Martinez to leave. Obviously, at the time, I thought maybe Gaffer, can we bless the beef between yourself and obviously Aubameyang? But life goes on, man. It is what it is. Like, just have to move on with life, man. We need Zubimendi, would love it, but January, I wouldn't hold my breath. Anything could be wrong, and I'm not a transfer man. I'm just sitting here like you lot. I just can't see us being that club that's going to overpay for these players. Like Neto's injury, on top of him just being probably unassailable in January, out the window. Douglas Luiz, you're going to have to overpay. Arsenal make a big song and dance about value for money. Would that be the thing? Saying that though, we always criticize our club for not spending big. Maybe we was bidding for a player we wasn't going to get, but we did find 70 million last January to at least place a bid for Caicedo, and you kind of rattled him to want to leave the club. Maybe you could do that with Douglas Luiz, but is 70 million for Douglas Luiz value for money? I don't know, man. Instead of Douglas Luiz, we should get Fabian Ruiz. He barely gets any minutes for PSG, and he can play CDM. No, he can't. And centre mid and score goals from outside the box. Perfect Partey replacement. Is that necessarily a good Partey replacement? I mean, he can be as the deepest midfielder, and on ability, Fabian Ruiz would be good, but I think it's like apples and oranges, really. Are you surprised by Xhaka's performances in the Bundesliga? No, because that's his league, and, you know, he's playing under a great gaffer like Xabi Alonso. He plays attractive football, and, you know, Arteta made this new look Xhaka in it, so, yeah. That's true in relation to Martinez. I'm just saying they've all got howlers, like, unless it's even Alisson, but it's all apples and oranges, really. Like, for me, with Aaron Ramsdale and Raya, I'm cool with any one of them. I wouldn't even I think we spent too long of a live stream speaking about goalies, but if you could find that Alisson level, you can bin them both, if I'm honest. And I don't think they both deserve to be binned or either, but ultimately, that will improve our system, make us a lot better as a club, and ultimately stronger at winning stuff. I don't think we're going to win the champs this year or anytime soon, but that, if you offered me, obviously I want to win the Prem, but if you said Arsenal 100% would win the champs or the Prem this year, I don't know how you would do it or what sort of video you'd be doing. I'm picking the champs. Like, we're too big of a club not to have stronger European pedigree. That's what I dream of. Anything that can get us closer to one day aspiring to that dream to become a reality, I'm here for it. And they didn't want to stay, so there you have it, man. A few players did it. Xhaka didn't want to stay either. And Aubameyang made his bed, so he has to lie in it, man. I don't know about the Emery comment. Would you take Fatty in the summer because he's on loan? Keep doing what you're doing at Brighton. Stay fit and we can talk, innit? I like Asu Fati. I like the ideology of Asu Fati, but I don't like these players that can't stay fit, which hasn't been the case at Brighton. Maybe it's just something Barca were doing. I don't know. You continue the way you're going, but yeah, but even him, like, he's got ability. He was just seen as the wonder kid a few years ago. Again, time can show everything. But if we signed Fatty tomorrow, I definitely feel a lot stronger about our attacking options. But do I think, wow? I think now we need to make these signings that are going to take us to the next level. And this is what I mean, social. At the top level, the gaps are not huge. They are small, very small. Those small tweaks push you over. Raya is a small tweak. It is what it is. There you have it. And for me, the jury's still out on Raya. He's going to have to display that. He's exactly what you said. But that is how you're articulating it in a great way. And that's it. Ultimately, really and truly. You know, fans always call for ruthlessness until it's the favourite dons. But it is what it is in that regards, man. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you're doing such, people. And obviously, with it being close to an hour, there's nothing more to talk about. We've gone over Raya and Ramsdale. We've spoken about any other transfer news. Yeah, man, there actually isn't anything else to say, man. So yeah, you lot stay safe, stay blessed. Check out the rest of the content. If there is anything of any note to speak about Arsenal related, then rest assured I'll get the videos out. To my football manager ones, please make sure you're checking out my YouTube community tab, because we're probably going to have to play it on Kick. If you don't know what that is, follow me on that social platform, because I think we've got 48-hour suspension on Twitch. So we're not going to be there for a minute, man. In fact, 2 good questions. One thing that I'll say, Raya is clear of them Ramsdale is his situation and game management. I don't think we're getting a winger to take Saka or Gabby's spot, but someone that can play a few matches and the quality is not a drop-off as big. With the amount of games and injuries we've seen this season and the way football is going, bring that. The Champions League trophy will show up a lot of debate. I just want the champs, man. If I was these Sakas and all these things, like, yeah, you can win a league title, and I'm not knocking it, but the Champions League, bro, like... Only World Cup is talking to that. If you're them elite footballers, like Champions League, the theme tune, the way how sexy the trophy looks, the illustrious names that have won it. Don't get it wrong, don't get twisted. I'm not dissing the Premier League, but we should have a stronger European pedigree, man. What would you give Saka and Martinelli as rating so far? Martinelli has been poor, harsh. What in this season so far? Both 7s with a lot more to go, man. And we hope Ramsdale will stay and fight. I mean, we can't say Ramsdale's not a man, you know. He is fighting. He is getting on with things. So, yeah, man. On that note, though, you lot stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll link up again soon.
Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
There's always just that active red flag defenders, I think, is like. There's always just that active red flag defenders, I think, is like.